welcome to another episode of Test, Optimize, and Scale. Very excited to have Manny Larcher here with us today, the CEO of Stopwatch Creative Agency. Looking forward to get into the creative discussions, as well as Collaborate and Elevate, the founder of the SaaS platform. Manny, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jason. Grateful to be on the podcast.
Excellent. We're going to have some fun, provide a lot of actionable insights to the audience, and thought we could kick it off by learning more about you and your story.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm a first generation American. Both my parents are from St. Lucia, small island in the Caribbean, less than 120,000 people. And I was actually born here in Columbus, Ohio. And I lived here until I was 6, and then had the opportunity to live in St. Lucia for 5 years, and then came back throughout high school, attended college, and marketing. Immediately, I was always entrepreneurial driven, always very creative person. I wanted to make it in the NBA, but that didn't work out. So I really liked marketing, basically, I worked for a couple financial, jobs. And then luckily in 2015, I kind of learned a little bit about websites, the local NAACP website here, and helped someone get elected. And that led to an opportunity at an agency. Then we came up with a healthcare idea, and I was a part of a startup in 2015 that raised some money, Ardina. And then we worked on that for a couple years, and in life you don't fail, you learn. And that led to Stopwatch Creative in 2017 getting started. And so I'm the CEO. It's Lenny Burkett is the co-founder. He is the lead designer. He went to school for design, and we pretty much started off working. We got a little bit lucky per se because of our background. And when we did start, we already had kind of like an established clientele. And from there, really focusing, our established clientele is around the startup ecosystem. And, from there, it was just really a matter of just building, adding value. So we're 4 years of business now at Stopwatch. And then something interesting started to happen in 2018, year 2. We had a client, Proteon Software, and we have a case study on our website too. But basically, it started with him asking us for a logo, and then within 2 years, we helped him with everything from management, consulting to sales. He actually ended up selling his company to another company here in Columbus for a few multi-million-dollar acquisition. And I traveled every 2 weeks. I was in Belgrade, Serbia, culminating like in the end of November of 2018. And then so during that period, I started to get inundated with just questions as far as like, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you raise? How do you? And I just felt that I didn't feel like we had a proper network. I felt like a majority of the events that we had, obviously this is before COVID, but I just felt like a majority of the business events, just revolved around eating pizza and drinking alcohol, and there really was no follow-up. So that's really what Collaborate and Elevate started about, really just, really paying attention to everybody that comes through the door and trying to see how we can actually help them. And I have to give, that was in partnership with Michael Red, who's from Columbus as well. And we did that, we pretty much did that until COVID happened. We ended up having 22 something events featuring entrepreneurs in the city. I think we featured over 50 or so entrepreneurs, had over 700 attendees. So when COVID happened, we started to get a lot of emails just saying, hey, keep this up. And, we rolled out a membership for less than $5 a month. And we ended up growing 8,000% throughout the year. For Collaborate and Elevate. So and through that, what we say is we connect people to opportunities in a safe and open environment. We've helped connect, just the results, that I'm seeing, I think that's what really drives me. We're helping founders raise, black founder, we have a black founder, she just raised a little under $500,000. We're helping, there's a lawyer who she had just started her firm, didn't have any customers. We've helped about 105x her investment, connecting her. And one of her clients just raised 5 million 2 weeks ago that we helped connect her with. There's an OSU student that we just helped with 3-year contract position at Nestle. There are a lot of other jobs. But that's essentially what we're doing. We're helping connecting, we say professionals, aspiring business owners or entrepreneurs to resources. So that could be jobs, that could be investment, that could just be mental health and advice. We also have specialists in our network as well. And yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see what's going on about that. And, I think now we're having, we've had a local judge reach out to us, partner, and she ended up getting elected. And, now I'm at an office space that kind of needs some help with, getting back to where they were before COVID. So there's a lot of great conversations that were happening through, the Collaborate and Elevate brand.
And 8,000% growth. That is amazing by anyone's gauge there. And you said it all started with the events and hosting those local meetups, making them more productive, not so much the, hey, let's get together and eat and drink after work, more along the lines of how can I support my community, and bringing in different types of professionals from all sides of the landscape. You even mentioned judges in there. I've never worked with a judge personally, and I like to think I've worked with all different sides of the spectrum in terms of groups. So really, you're offering through Collaborate and Elevate a pool of knowledge, a very large menu of different types of resources for founders to be able to engage with and find different types of partnerships.
Yes, Jason. But not also, it's not only founders as well too. I do see like entrepreneurs is how I look at them, as someone working at a company. They're basically an entrepreneur. But yeah, just the passion, was from my own, my kind of what's it called, my trajectory, right? I didn't really have those. I had to meet certain people that, in my opinion, it's almost like lottery tickets. I just don't see it's duplicatable. Like, so for, part of me just feels like I just have to kind of give back to really help the next generation. I'm 32, and I was scared to start a company until I was 29. Really, I just didn't think I could really do it. You know what I mean? I didn't, so I had to have just someone look at me in the eye and say, you could do it, like, so some people just kind of need that. And obviously when you talk about connecting them to their first or 10th customer, then who doesn't want that, but that was my whole thing, right? With owning an agency and having, spend thousands of dollars on all these platforms, I know what you get in return. So part of it is, hey, can we come up with something that we could give people more value as if they were put that same amount in that thing, basically. Mm-hmm. Really and also too, because we work with, we might work with students, we might work with, a mom full time and trying to figure out how to start a company, right? So it was, hey, let's make it super affordable to everyone, and that was really the consensus with Collaborate and Elevate. And by the way, when we did our events, it was always free. So we never charged for the events, and we did have pizza and alcohol at the events, but it was more purpose driven, I would say, if anything. So it was definitely tough. It's not like it was an obvious thing to roll out a membership. I think that was something that we internally kind of went back and forth about. And then when we kind of agreed to it, the price was a whole, probably a week-long conversation. But having said that, I'm very happy we did do that. And just, just the doors, there's a certain level of energy that, I wanted to, the authentic energy, I think we were able to kind of keep with that. And really, you brought up judges and stuff like that. I think the only reason a judge would want to work with us is because they see the community aspect of how we're building, and a judge is deep and part, I mean, I say they should be, government officials, right? Or political servants, right? As opposed to politicians. But any public servant, they really should be in the community, should be. So I think that was awesome for us. Her name's Judge Terry Jameson, and she was going against someone that was sitting in the chair since 1992.
Wow.
And we helped her get elected. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I love how you mentioned the community and how important that is for businesses in any vertical. Also, to hear more about your story and to relate with founders. I definitely heard my own experiences as you were mentioning, and I was about the same age as you when partnering in DNA, and when we were founding the company. Tim, my business partner, looked at me and said, let's take the jump. He was consulting with a list of clients at the time that were not having the best relationships with marketing agencies. It's a space that's gotten a bad rap, gotten a bad name over the years. I find it's all about how the agency is used. We have a great article about how to get the most from your agency experience, and I've been on all sides of the table, from client to vendor to an agency to running one. But to actually take that jump, likewise, I needed to hear that from someone else. Furthermore, someone who's going to be a committed partner throughout the process. And then it was all about team. We brought on a CFO, we brought on a general counsel, filled some of the gaps that were outside of our areas of expertise. Brought on a head of content marketing with an SEO background, again, looking to strengthen areas that we did not feel we were, to professional caliber of. And then we're able to really have a strong full service marketing offer for groups. I also should mention, I've gotten a lot out of meetup type events. And we were attending them regularly. We were at multiple co-working offices. One of them in particular would have an event virtually every night. So, you shut down the computer, you walk over to the pizza or whatever it is, but you walk over, shake a few hands, find different opportunities to collaborate, or more importantly, how you could provide value to the other side. It's where we've gotten clients, where we've gotten referral partners, where we've really gotten positioning in the Santa Monica, Playa Vista, overall Los Angeles tech community, and how that really allowed us to act locally and then build a name nationally as a result. So if anyone's listening and thinking it's something that's compartmentalized to one geographical market, I highly recommend it for your overall, global placement within your industry.
Yeah, like attending events and meetups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Digital conferences these days, whatever it may be, although I see them coming back more in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I haven't attended a digital I've RSVP'd, but I always am busy when they're having, like, something will come up and it's hard, right? I'll say this too about collaborating early, that I think, and it's something I never even thought about, but I see it's funny. I think people were, when I started Collaborate and Elevate, I would say people were tired of networking. I mean, and let's even go even deeper. Super Connector, there's a chapter in Super Connector, right? This is Networking is Dead. And that book came out in 2018. So if you guys haven't read it, recommended that, or read that book, I recommend it. I think what happened is people were literally tired of networking. And then so when I created this, it was more purpose driven. But then COVID happened, and now everyone just wants to network, right? So, I mean, I'm actually doing an event April 29th here at Industrious, in downtown Columbus, if anyone's available. But yeah, I just think it's so interesting. It's just cycles, right? But again, I think it's just all about the individual. Like my partner doesn't, like, he's a super introvert. So some people just aren't really meant, and that's why you said team. You guys surround yourself with the right people, right? Yeah. I think that's the most important thing, is delegating, knowing what you're good at, what you're responsible at. And hey, if this guy's, the people person, then go to as many of those events. Like I was someone that went to South by Southwest, CES. I mean, I was going everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I would get any client to send, all right. Yeah. But I think, COVID was I think it just made us all slow down. And it for me, it really was like, okay, well, what's the MVP out of all this stuff that we're doing? Like what's the most valuable, thing out of this? Because we do have a lot of ideas, and as you know, entrepreneurs, right? You could get what's it called, shiny object syndrome. So I think a lot of that is just focus, I would say, and vision too. Vision's the most important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know my vision has always been shaped by the team, by the community. I also have traveled a lot. When I was in ad tech, I was flying somewhere different each week, sometimes more often than that, to sit with agencies and talk to them about advertising campaigns using our technology. Gave me a good understanding of what worked, didn't work, across various industries, budget levels, timelines. But the travel and getting to hear people's thoughts, getting people as mindset on this type of activation was what really allowed me to shape my vision, how we were able to set it up for the agency here. Like I said, I've sat on all sides of the table, so I know as a brand what I'm looking for out of an agency type of dynamic. So I've been able to put that together. I've done more of the digital conferences. Also been flying this year quite a bit, but but last year it slowed down. Got less airport visits, but I have done a good amount of the digital conferences, and it's all a matter of how you set them up. What I like about it is you can speak at conferences internationally, groups that are hosting events in Europe and Asia, given your different industry and where the conversations are taking place, and all from one location. In the same day, you could be at multiple digital conferences. You could pinpoint exactly who you're looking for through the searches in the attendee database and the speaker database. Send them a message, connect, go through 100 plus targets, be able to set up conversations with 20 plus people during the conference, after the conference, be able to front load your follow-ups. My business development team would normally look to speak to 25 to 50 people physically a day at a conference, at a major exhibition. They can do 100 contacts digitally in a smaller window of time on top of their other work, and without all the in-between of going to airports, hotels, these other aspects. Nothing beats the handshake and the eye-to-eye contact, maybe a nice dinner afterwards with people you are almost said networking. I'm looking at that as a bad word now based on your comments, but people that you're meeting and engaging with at the show. So nothing beats that. But we have found ways to operate within it. Also doing a lot more on Clubhouse these days, and have been bringing clients out of it. Yeah. It's fun to see the way it's all changing.
Yeah, I just noticed the payment feature. Interesting. And yeah, I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast, the recent episode, and he was kind of saying how, because of COVID and, a lot of people, ultimately are kind of looking for that sense of, like if they had, lost income or lost a job, right? This new thing, Clubhouse, you see a lot of people really owning that kind of platform and really kind of helping drive that growth. And there's a lot of I know a lot of people who are focusing on that. But yeah, I think vision's the most important thing, especially if you're a brand. Like, how are you guys using Clubhouse? Like, because the goal is to take out podcasts. That's the goal. That's their strategy.
And I've heard Clubhouse described as a podcast on steroids. I think each has their own place. And I don't think it's biased as a podcaster myself, but I listen to Joe Rogan, and it's my favorite podcast at that. A list of other marketing podcasts, list of my friends who are speakers and their podcasts. I love the wide range of guests that Joe has. I'll leave a 3-hour episode on, catch part of it at the airport, part of it running, part of it here, part of it there. I'll have it on the background on my TV for on YouTube. I actually said that wrong. On Spotify, excuse me, these days. but I'll throw the video on in the background while I'm working on emails or something like that. And it holds a different place for me than a Clubhouse where I have to log in live. I feel I need to pay a bit more attention. Otherwise, it's just completely background for me. That being said, a lot of the ones I join, I'm speaking on, but they're very different to me at that. Um, I was a bit more excited about them a couple months ago, to be honest. There is a bit of an excess element going on, but at the same time, they've been very valuable to our clients. Many of our clients are running equity crowdfunding campaigns. They're raising capital. They hold investor type presentations there and do Q&As, have a top speaker on, maybe their anchor investor or some type of strategic partner in their industry who validates what they're doing. So I've seen it very valuable. Us as an agency, we're doing a bi-weekly, every other week room.
Cool.
And have been getting good feedback from that, have had good takeaways from it already. I've been asked to speak on ones where there's a 200-line spreadsheet about who's saying what when, and how things open up from there. I've been other ones that were completely impromptu. Can't tell you the best route. Still feeling it out, but I've been impressed by the authenticity from
Yes.
uniquely notable speakers and how that differs from other mediums.
Definitely. I'm going to give Glenn Lundy a shout out. I don't know him, but he does a morning thing every morning and he brings on like millionaires and billionaires. And the game that I've got from Clubhouse that these people have no idea that I even, and it's not like unfortunately, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to say thank you for saying this. So, and I think I forgot who even said it, so I think that's one thing too. Like I'll notice like let's say I'm doing something and I'm running. I think that's one of the hard things about Clubhouse where like, I won't know who said what it is. And then depending on how busy I am, right? I think that there's a lot of, so I think that's what with me, I spent a lot of time on there. Also too, this is a podcast about, tactics and channels. You could find so much data on Clubhouse. It's insane. It's almost, so I think just from that standpoint, everyone should probably be on it. And it's been very helpful. I think for me, from a personal development standpoint, it's the most relevant social media ever. I've gotten more like education out of it more than any other platform. It's not even close. And that's why I like it. I think anyone could hop on and then hop in a room and then maybe hear something that changes their life. Whereas LinkedIn, you got to build your profile. Instagram, you got to upload a bunch of pictures. So that's what the one thing I like about it. It just takes the spam or the fake away. I don't know. It takes a lot away. That authenticity, helping hearing someone directly. So I do like that.
Absolutely. The education piece, I've definitely found value in that as well too, and real time type of insights, things that occurred an hour before, room topic discussions around that and hearing from top experts. And wanted to talk with you a bit about Stopwatch. Wanted to talk with you about creative and your overall process. How do you approach a new project? If there is a founder who's listening in right now and they're trying to figure out their own style guide, their own creative, foundation that's going to live across their content marketing, their ads, all aspects of their brand, where do you begin?
Yeah, great question. And I'm assuming they already have a product in place, or do they even have a logo yet, or where are we at in the process?
Let's start at the logo. Let's say there's no logo quite yet. An idea is formed. Even if someone has their logo, maybe they're not 100% sold on it. Where does the creative ideation start?
Got it. Yeah. So I think for us, we try to figure out what their market is, what the product, on a high level, just really figure out, I'm going to go to college, but do a SWOT analysis on them, depending on where they're at. depending on the stage of the idea, whether they have customers or whatnot. But really kind of understand what they're working on. So if it's, and if it's a project and who their target market is, and then I think for us, it's about kind of developing, whether it's a guideline, a brand guideline or just the activity kind of around that messaging. But we typically try to figure out, really identify the stage that they're at, understand kind of their offering, understand their target, and then we create a plan around that, how to reach them. And I'm not going to sit here and say Instagram is always, there are plans that revolve nothing around Instagram or nothing around social media, period. So it all kind of depends on the client and their service, product. And then from there, I think it's just a matter of activity, reviewing analytics, and reiterating. And I think that's kind of, I think that's why we're unique, because we're really good at that. And it's, so yeah, I think it comes around, being able to see what's working, what's not working, and then trying different creative strategies to make it work. Whether you're releasing a series of articles or I just think there's so much. And we work with financial clients, we work with in-home healthcare, we work with products. So it really kind of depends on their target market.
Okay. So starting at that SWOT analysis, we do something similar, making sure to look at the target market, making sure to look at competitors as you're weighing out the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, but being able to identify that within the target markets, coming up with initial creative, reviewing that, and determining where to go from there. Similar to the test, optimize, and scale approach, of course, which we look at as all-encompassing. But what is the timeline for something like this? Are you guys usually doing it in a few days, a few weeks, a few months?
Yeah, so we call our name Stopwatch for a reason. We want to create something that hopefully, ideally, we're quick, and then also it makes you think about what we're doing. I think, in marketing, I don't know how you can move slow in marketing, so we're definitely fast. But I'll say that, and then I'll say we're fast, because the reality is whatever you're working on, unless if you're building an app, there are always iterations of how we could roll out the full product. So we're more of a timeline, and how to, no matter what stage you are, I think there is some level of marketing that you could do. And I'll give you an example. We're working with someone that's going through some deep IP for an AI product, right? So he cannot put anything out there, right? Because he's trying to get the IP. However, right now we're helping him with his pitch deck and his business plan and line up investors, right? So there's some things like that could happen. You brought up essentially right now we're doing this for a local nonprofit who, we had the meeting with them recently. It was Friday. So that's actually something I'm going to try to turn around before Thursday. So I think they haven't worked with us. Essentially, exactly what you said is what they asked us. And I'll go about this, from a creative standpoint. I know, there's nothing bad about their creative, but I know that their creative can be improved. So when we present what they're wanting, we're definitely going to go, above and beyond from a creative standpoint. But yeah, there are levels to design, right?
Yeah.
so I think there are definitely levels to design. So I think, we try to, maybe I guess probably the best answer is if you do it fast, then I guess for us, it's never like when we deliver something, it's never our way or the highway. It's always kind of like, okay, let's have a conversation about this. And I guess from there you could reiterate.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I was referring to earlier when I was saying getting the most out of your agency experience. An agency works on behalf of the brand. It's a collaborative. We do weekly calls where we're going over all of the analytics throughout the month, I'm sorry, throughout the week and the month in comparison. We're talking about what we're going to do next week, but we're always leaving it open for discussion. We're
Yeah.
always looking to leverage the expertise of the client and their product industry knowledge, as well as marketing ideas that we're bringing to the table, looking to test out when things aren't working. We're trying new audiences, new creatives, new funnels, whatever we can optimize to a point of effectiveness. I hear a lot of similarities in that as well too. Do you guys put some type of creative library together with image assets, video assets that can be leveraged across various channels?
Yeah, we actually do that for any client that we are creating a lot of content for. So having just a central place, right, where they could go to, even if it's something similar as a content calendar. We do that. We're very adamant about that. I recommend anyone do that because it will take a lot of stress as far as creating social media content and getting ahead of time. But yeah, no, a central standpoint for, especially, when it comes to press, right? And you have to send brand guidelines and things like that, what they can use. So that's something that we do pretty much in the kickoff, to be honest with you. That's we try to have that. That's probably something we knock on the first 2 weeks of any project, at least have a consensus. Because if we're creating, to keep that level of communication. But in many cases, especially now, we're kind of working with more established companies that already have this stuff in place. So
Okay.
it's also kind of like, how can we maybe, if we're lucky, how can we like rebrand what they're doing? But sometimes it's kind of working around what the existing brand guidelines is already established.
Okay. So less mood boards and inspiration and more, how do we want to be participating in the conversation on this channel?
Definitely. Yeah. As far as messaging, yeah.
And do you see any channels that you're using more than others? For us, Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising is a big part of a campaign. Are there any mediums, any touch points for target audiences that you're creating for more often?
That's a good question. If I high level, I want to give Collaborate and Elevate a shout out because I think that's the honest answer would be LinkedIn. Looking at my data, I said 8,000% growth. 18% of our customers actually came from LinkedIn, which is the highest out of any platform last year. So the answer, I guess from my best answer to anyone watching this is that you should probably really be active on all of them, and then it's going to be obvious when you need to focus on one. Like we have a client that has 16 million Snapchat followers, right? And he only has 2 million Instagram followers. So but it became obvious that Snapchat was his main audience. So I think for us, LinkedIn has been the best, and I just think that's because of it's a more intellectual audience. I could argue and say Medium and Quora is probably better than Instagram for us on certain things. So I think it really, again, comes down to your product and where your audience lives.
Yeah,
because you're gonna run into the same thing.
absolutely. I love how you said Medium and Quora. Those are powerful channels for the right audience, like you're mentioning. And for Collaborate and Elevate, could you share more about what you guys tested in terms of marketing channels, how you were able to build up a larger audience, build up more, active usership to hit that 8,000% growth?
Yeah, thank you, Jason. And it's a simple answer. I think what we did different is we really made a highly personalized custom experience for every single person that ever attended our event.
Mm.
And then what that did, so from a data standpoint, we have every email, we have a phone number, we have all that stuff. we know where they work, we know how we can help them. I I really do think that was kind of the basis. And then from there, when we started the membership, it's not like it went, 1 to 50 very quick. Actually, it took longer to go from 10 to 50 than it took to get to 1 to 10, to be honest. So what really, so how we grew is, in my opinion, it's just the fact that it's a transparent brand. So when we put our members on a pedestal, it's a freemium, right? So you could go on the website, you could find information how to, raise, you can find like pitch deck advice, there are articles for accelerators, there are a lot of job opportunities. So there's free information. So I do think we're really giving out a lot of free, helpful information to people. We do have kind of like a curriculum component as well. But for us, because we don't advertise at all, that's important to mention. So for us, it was like, how can we create a word of mouth effect? And then even simplifying that, the only way we can do it is by truly helping someone. If I help you, you're going to tell your friend. So for us, it's really, we're just focusing on product and not letting anyone just kind of fall through the ropes. I mean, I'm sure you've been a customer before and like, it feels like the company forgot about you, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think for us, I think that's really our MVP. And I know, if you're a junior at a college and you got a, $350,000 career opportunity, right? Or if you're a entrepreneur working full time and then you got a $300,000, connection to an angel investor, that's really what we're after, really trying to really help. And on the back end, it's important that we are forming these partnerships with, I would say, ecosystem builders. So, people that are hiring, angel investors, venture capitalists, there's a VC right above me. So we really do focus on that network that, we're not a nonprofit, we are a for-profit company. So I think it's transparent. I think just building a transparent company too. And we highlight our members throughout social media. And we also do email marketing as well too. So, we're high touch, obviously, but our core theme is to really highlight, professionals. And I think why it's growing goes back to let's look at the lather, right? Like, what are you going to do to connect and get new customers, right? You could go to 20 or so events. What happens if you get no one, right? Maybe some people don't have a budget to put in advertising. You run ads, so that it's not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. There's a lot that goes into advertising. What's your copy? What's your breakdown? Who are you targeting? So I think, especially these small businesses, I think there's a huge, I think we forgot about a lot of businesses in America, to be honest. Even let's look at LinkedIn. I brought up LinkedIn as it's my favorite platform. The reality of the situation is you have to have a lot to get value out of that thing. You have to have good experience. You maybe have to have a very good, college degree, maybe a lot of references, right? You have to be posting to be active. And then they're telling you have to pay us $75 a month, right? There's still a lot. And also if you're running the show, who has time to go through all that stuff, right? So I think that's our core, our mission. We almost look at us as Angie's List meets Tinder.
That's a good combination there.
Yeah. So that's how we look at it. And I think just naturally, that's how we've been able to get people. Like, we got randomly someone reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I just kind of let them know, like, hey, I could connect you to a few people, but we do this in-house. So when it comes to tech dev, I get inundated with people saying, hey, I'll build your sites. And people like that, we've been able to connect them, and this is a guy from the Philippines, and we connect them with someone from Toledo, Ohio, and then also just from a, it's very, I'm motivated and I'm grateful to wake up to know that someone from the Philippines paid, $495 US is not $495 his money, that's over $400, you know what I mean? So that keeps us as a team going. And basically that guy referred someone to New York, and then that guy told someone in Austin. And so just seeing that, grow, that's been the awesome thing. And then on the back end, like I said, we are a minority owned company. We do have a social, we are considered a social enterprise. So basically for every paid membership, we give one away to a student, single mom, someone coming in and out of the, prison system. We really try to go above and beyond. And, I think this just that's how we've been able to grow and just build a community out of it. I think we're a mission driven company. So, we were doing advertising, but it's just something that I just didn't feel necessary right now. So yeah.
Yeah, if you're able to do it organically, like you're mentioning. And how did you optimize all this? It seems like you have so many findings at this point. You were talking about email, these other channels. How were you able to determine what was working, replicate that? What recommendations could you point founders towards for an optimization process as a whole based on your experience?
Thank you. That's a great question. I think there are a few things that opened up to show us what's working with Collaborate and Elevate specifically. And I'll just focus to the customers at the end of the day. I think I see a lot of founders make a mistake, and I understand doing research in the beginning and stuff like that, but it's different type of feedback that you could get when someone pays for your service. So, I think we have no worries. We have a pretty, again, it's very personalized. And then our intake form essentially kind of really lets us know what we're doing and also how we can improve. And I mean, if you're talking about we use different, Zapier and different tools like that, but I wouldn't know what was working if I didn't have customers and if I didn't talk to my customers and ask them, right? I think that's the, I have an idea as a founder, as a CEO, as a vision of the company of what we can do, right? And I think the reason that the site is up and there's a logo and we're doing this stuff, that is me executing that vision. However, in order for me to grow from that, I need feedback from the people that I believe that could help. And I think that's how we're growing right now. From talking with our customers, from figuring out, I mean, we had customers say, hey, let me know when your 5-year offer is right now. So I'll pay for that right now, right? So and those are the type of things you want your customer to say, right? So a lot of it is, it's focusing on product and helping people, period. I think our mission, our vision, our values revolves around helping people. From my perspective, I do think that I see an abundance of opportunity, but however, I do see that there are certain doors closed, maybe mentally by other people, for no reason. And I think for us, how can we, be a network, to really kind of just help someone.
Absolutely. And you guys have been scaling 8,000% growth. You've seen projects scale. You've been a part of exits, through Stopwatch and the creative, partnerships, endeavors that you guys are having there. What tips do you have towards scale? What examples could you share in terms of optimizations that were made and then scale tactics that were implemented to allow brands to take on more market share?
Got it. I think of project management. I think of, applying an actual project management. A lot of founders love traction in the EOS system. There's a Lean Sigma. This might not be the answer you want, but that is the only reason. That's the only reason why I've been able to scale, because I have a lot of experience working with project managers. PMI.org, got to give a big shout out. The company that we did sell, we managed over 150 PMI chapters. So, there's a book called Flow by Ted Kallman. even Super Connector. I mean, that's a very good book that I learned a lot out of. Rework, Jason Fried. For me, I think a lot of it is books. Vern Haddish, Scaling Up Principles, right? That's Rockefeller, Tennessee. So the answer is I have an Audible membership, and and I read a lot, and I all the examples that I know of success have applied these tactics to their business, and it makes the business run without them. And I think that for me as a founder, that's the number one thing. If I go on a vacation, can I enjoy it?
Yeah.
Um,
When I
so
first started the business, I was pointed at a book called The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth, and it's all about being self-employed versus being an entrepreneur, working on the business versus working in the business. So what I'm hearing in your answer is you use project management to build replicatable systems, to be able to operate, with larger volumes in terms of traffic, in terms of your customer base, and be able to remove yourself more and more, not just for the sake of doing less, but being able to take on much larger goals, being able to take on much larger objectives.
and that's also transferable. Now, new people on my team, if they don't have the time to do this type of research, I'm now able to essentially educate them through work. And then that, and like I said, that's transferable. I would say these are all relatively new skills that I've learned in the last, couple years to really put it into action in order for growth. But
Absolutely.
I think you have to document your processes, whatever they are. I just don't see how you can really scale if you're not doing that.
Exactly. I love in the optimization section how you talked about getting direct customer feedback too. We're implementing more forms so that we could be measuring. The only way to measure is with numbers across different areas of our business on a monthly basis, across 40 to 50 clients, across 50 to 100 as growth is occurring, in the coming quarter. So that is, like you said, how you document, how you grow. These are such strong recommendations, and especially for an entrepreneur to me implementing early stage or a company that's mid-market and looking for fundamentals that they can focus on that will help them achieve their next stages of growth. As we begin to wrap up here, do you have any closing recommendations, any closing insights, thoughts, any messages you want to make sure the audience is left with after hearing our discussion today?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm really going to look forward to looking back on this. My number one thing is probably what I said, in the beginning, is that, in life you don't learn. I mean, you don't fail, you learn. And, Peter Thiel famously said, competition is for losers, right? So I guess my whole thing to anyone in general, I think patience is the most important thing. I think there 9 times out of 10, there are a lot of options available to you. I know I struggled in the past by maybe acting too fast on certain things, as opposed to if I just sat, wait around a little longer, maybe even did nothing actually in some cases. So I just think patience, and in that, mental health and physical health is the most important thing. At the end of the day, no matter what you obtain, what can you do if you're not physically and mentally able? So I think taking care of yourself and just really having trust that, if you're doing good, you're helping people, it will all work out. It probably will never work out exactly the way you think it will, but it probably will all work out.
Absolutely. Patience is a virtue. And I describe successful trends among entrepreneurs of companies we've seen do particularly well as an unstoppable commitment to the results, a grit that is relentless. And I hear, patience in that. And it's not usually a word I include there, but it is so true. I love how you pointed out, if you're doing good things in the world, it may require some pivots. It may not work out the exact way you want it, but if you keep doing it, you're eventually going to resonate in the right areas, and that will allow for the growth that you're seeking.
Definitely. I mean, I was just thinking about COVID, and I mean, there's so many things that I could have done differently, and you and I aren't on this call. A lot of it results around patience at the end of the day. So you just never know. And then having a good network, having someone that you could talk to, I think, because it does get lonely, right? So just making sure you have a good support network, that someone's going to give you that good advice, or the honest advice, not even good. Yeah, making sure they give you honest advice, I think, is the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing. I think we get, in a way, we're visionary, so you almost have to be very adamant and strong about what you're working on. But it's very, very helpful to have that support network.
100%. And Manny, if anyone is listening to this and wants to reach out to you, have a conversation directly, maybe add you to their support network, what is your preferred method of communication?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Manny Larcher. I'm also on Facebook, but probably prefer LinkedIn. You could also email manny@stopwatchcreative.com. And yeah, I'm pretty available. So
Excellent.
happy. Yes.
That is a kind gesture to invite that type of dialogue, and get feedback on their creative, perhaps get plugged into each other's networks. Very nice to offer. And Manny, thank you so much for being here today. I've been taking notes, actually just wrote down that Peter Thiel quote after you mentioned it there myself. But thank you so much for being here and joining us on the episode today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to learn more and inviting you guys on one of the Collaborate and Elevates events.
Okay, sounds like a plan. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and hope you enjoyed today's podcast.